All right, guys, welcome to the Frame and Focus podcast. We are here with Andrew and Vanessa today. This is episode number 5. We'll kick it off today with Andrew. If you want to give us like a little bit of your, it's a broad question, but just like a background on how you got started in this whole world and how you became a DP and what got you started in film.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I went to college in Ohio and studied kind of like broadcast communications, but we fell in with some people who were making short films a ton. Got hooked on that. Met some people. Got an internship at Panavision in LA. So as soon as I graduated, I just moved to LA. Worked at Panavision. From there, just met camera people, and then started working freelance. And that was kind of it. I started as a film loader. Just worked my way up. Doing it, a lot of music videos, a lot of commercials, second AC, first AC. It was kind of there right at that sweet spot of like the digital transition, which is a great time to like enter the industry because there was all these guys who were like, I don't want to touch this stuff. And you're like the young cat, you're like, yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Let me show you. And then it's an easy way in, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's cool. And then just, I don't know, how does one become a DP? Just say you're a DP, I guess. And then you start doing the thing. But that's it, yeah, pretty much it. And it's been a crazy road. So.
Okay. What was that transition like from film to digital? Was that something that you, I guess, were used to, or like, yeah, I don't know. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like when I went to college, I was going to go into the film program, and then the guys that I met, like in pre-college, they were like, you should look at the telecommunications program. There's a video production tracked there, and like video is the future, right? They were like pitching that pretty hard, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then like talked to some people in the film program. They're like, well, we only make like one film a year. It's like, okay, well, what goes on over here? It's like, well, we do TV shows, we do live to tape, we do sports, we do broadcast news, and we do short films. It's like, well, there's a lot more stuff going on over here, so I'll do this. And then I just happened to be there when like the DVX 100B came out, which is like the first 24 frame digital camera. It shot to little tape, but it was 24 frames progressive. And then the Canon XL2 came out. It was the first native 16:9 sensor. And so like that kind of changed the game in terms of like making a short film look like a movie on video.
Let me ask you this, how old are you? Because you look like old. 25, 27.
I was definitely showing my age with the DVX reference. I'm 38. So,
38?
Yeah.
Dude, well, what do you eat? What do you eat?
Lots of carbs, actually.
We were just talking about that before. So, yeah.
Man, you look young.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. It's, I don't know. Puerto Rican genes.
Oh, that's cool. So your background is Puerto Rican?
Italian, Puerto Rican, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you speak Spanish and Italian?
No, not at all.
Come on.
No, nothing.
Me neither.
It's just all gibberish.
Italian genes to you.
Yeah.
I can't say anything, so.
Buongiorno.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Baffanculo.
Yeah. That's literally all I know.
But yeah, so I was at Panavision, and I remember, we were prepping always film cameras, and then I was there when, like the Grass Valley Viper was like a thing, and the first Genesis camera, Panavision Genesis, was a thing. Like I was there when that came out, so kind of to be there on the rental house side when that stuff became like super popular was super interesting because everyone was still just figuring it out. Even the people at Panavision, they didn't really know what the tech was capable of.
Yeah.
And like Steve Yedlin was coming in and like writing his own LUTs. He was like the first person I ever saw like doing that manipulation. He's like, check this out. He's like on his computer. I'm like, I don't understand what you're doing. And no one else does either. And until years later, like obviously he's the master. But it was cool to be there kind of at the ground level of a lot of that stuff.
Wow. So you started at what age specifically? Like 20?
Panavision? I mean, I was 21, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing because, for some people, they realize what they like until like past their 30s or something like that. That happens to me.
Yeah, I was the same boat. I was playing music forever, and then I was like, oh, cameras are cool too.
Yeah, for real.
I can actually make money doing this. This is cool.
Yeah, I think it's great to know from a young age what you like to do, right? I think I think that you have the experience of like you said, multiple developments in the industry. So I think that's a great insight for sure.
Yeah, it was cool. Like when I was in college, I was directing the 12 o'clock news because our school was the PBS affiliate. So it was like directing the news as a senior, which was like super fun.
Great.
You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And like a really cool experience that I don't ever want to do again, but like it was cool to have done it and know what that's like. So
That's
good
awesome.
opportunities.
Do you shoot film at all now? Is that
we shot some 16 a couple weeks ago for like a little spec
cool?
for a buddy. I mean, I love film. I'll shoot film anytime. It's just, it's pricey. It's expensive.
Yeah.
You have to really like sell the idea and commit to doing the thing, you know?
How is the process of post-production on film? Because I have a friend of mine, David Wells. He just shot a music video. I think it was a music video. And
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
they just got an Arriflex with the film and everything. I mean, the process is longer, I think.
I mean, in terms of like, you don't just get to download and see your footage right away, right?
Yeah.
You can it up, you send it off because we don't have any processing here. So you have to put it in the mail, and then they process it and scan it, and then they send you the files back. So it's probably like a week turnaround unless you're like a big show and you can get it in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
But how could you explain the magic of filming in film? Like there are no options of delete any footage or any clip that you just got. What is the magic of?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on it. Like, it's organic. That's one thing. Like, it's an actual organic material that you're like exposing to light, right? So right away, there's like a different feeling in the footage because it's photoreactive in a way that like a digital sensor really isn't. It's kind of hard to like put your finger on like what that really is, but when you see it, you kind of know it, right?
Yeah, I think it's the same experience with photography, right? It's like
Absolutely.
you enjoy the process of being in the, how you call it, the black room,
The
Dark room,
the
yeah.
dark room, yeah. So yeah, I think the process is different, and you know, it's more immersed, I believe, for this.
Totally. And I think like there's also like a reverence on set when you're shooting film. Yeah. You're like, hey, we only have this much.
We only have this much. Everyone better
right?
hit their cues.
Yeah, be on your A game. Let's rehearse. Okay, now we shoot, right? And then we're only using as much film as we need to use. I mean,
I think that same thing goes for stills too, because it's like, you know, if you run around with a stills card and it's like you can shoot for forever, and then if it's bad, you know, you can pull out a card, throw in a new one. But with film, it's the same thing. You got to be more precise, I guess, with what you're shooting.
I think that's another aspect of the way it's different to the digital world, is that everyone has to be in their A game because there's no film to
sure. I mean,
waste, I guess.
Yeah, and then when you do waste it, you feel bad, right? It's out of focus. It's like, oh shit, that was an expensive take that's out of focus. But I mean, it's funny because when we shot film all the time, no one thought about it like that. Like, we would do a commercial, like 50, 60 takes in film, and you're just like, what? Can we move on? Like, you know, but like, they don't care how much film they're shooting. Like, you know, they're just shooting to shoot.
What about you, Vanessa? Have you had that experience in film?
Have I had what experience?
Like photography, film photography,
So I was self-taught with a Super 8 camera when I first started. Like, well, not when I first started, but maybe like 4 years into like my path. Linklater at the time, he's been my mentor since I moved to Austin for like I'm starting in the middle, I guess, of my story, but he told me, you should get this Super 8 camera. At the time I was going to Cuba with and my friend was like, oh, you should, I bought like a small little one, which is a thing like a 514 XL, and that was my favorite film camera forever. And then And then Rick was like, you should buy this one. And I ended up getting the 1014 XLS, and that's the one I still use today. Love it so much. But even shooting on Super 8 for me was like such a, like you said, like it's such a conservative way of thinking because you don't have much time. And you only have like so many takes. And then shooting on 16, same thing. Like whenever I shoot 16, I know exactly what I want. I don't even like clapping because I'm like, why even like, I don't even like syncing the sound because it's just going to take, if you add up those 5 seconds, like I can use that for a whole different take after a while. So why even do that? Like I can sync sound just by like reading lips, which I'm so used to anyways. And I prefer the colors. Like we'll talk about it soon, but I was like hearing you talk about film. I'm like, well, damn it, should I have pushed the our whole thing into 16? But
we essentially got as close as we could without actually doing it.
And that's actually when I shoot digital, I only want it to look like film. I hate digital. So if I'm like gonna make it look like film, I mean, unless like I can't control like my commercial work or anything like that, everyone loves digital, but I don't like digital.
What's so cool, I noticed on your website that you have a whole Super 8 reel. And I don't know, maybe I'm just out of the loop, but I don't know if I've really seen that before. So I thought that was super cool, and all the images and frames are beautiful. So that's great job on that. That's so cool.
It was kind of, I just realized that like not many people were shooting on Super 8 as much. And now I hope like I want more people to be shooting on Super 8 so that like Kodak can keep making good Super 8 reels. Because there was a point in time where during the pandemic, I was realizing that the Super 8 was getting stuck on my camera, so I called Kodak and I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "Oh, we're only testing it on the 814." Like I found out like what was happening, and apparently the person that was making it was like saying that the 814 was the only camera that they were testing to make it sure it would move. And I was like, "That's the worst way of testing a camera because there's other like the grooves and the rotating thing that like hook this and move on the Super 8." Are all different, and some of them are softer. So if you have like, some of them are really tough, so they can advance the camera. But like a Bauer, for instance, is a really soft Super 8. So then, it was funny. I was like, I guess I had to help in that sense, but I didn't get any free film out of it. But they replaced some of my Super 8 rolls. Then I was like, you guys, I wasted like a good 3 or 4 films, because they wouldn't advance. So you needed like a really strong, like it was just too tightly wound.
Gotcha. Well, that's the other thing about film is it's mechanical. The cameras are mechanical, right? So like if something's wrong, it's like, okay, tighten a screw. Maybe this thing needs oil or lubrication here, or like whatever. And then you keep shooting. Like if a digital camera has a problem, you're like, send this back to Japan, I guess, right? Somebody's got to open it up and diagnose it.
Call it rental house real fast.
It's something that like we went to Alaska and I worked on a movie in Alaska and we were up there. Had Panavision film cameras, and like we had to prep them for cold, right? So the lenses get a certain type of grease, cold weather grease, so that they don't freeze, and the cameras have to have their tents and their blimps and like the heating cables and everything. And we're having a problem with the eyepiece. It was the eyepiece in the Panavision camera can like when you go from the short eyepiece to the long eyepiece, you actually have to rotate the image because of the visual elements that are in the eyepiece, and it was getting stuck like 90 degrees.
Oh my!
Oh no!
Right, and so I called Panavision, and they just walked me through it. And like, okay, take this apart, do this, that, bang, bang, bang. Cool. It's this little spring. Make sure that's in the spot. Cool. Put it back together. Done. Like fixed. No problem.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of stuff you can't do anymore.
You're a handyman all of a sudden,
Yeah, I mean, you definitely like the amount of times I've like taken stuff apart in a hotel room. You're like, oh my god, shit. Can this go back together? I hope so.
Do you usually have like a plan B, like if it's the only film camera and
I mean, you have to have a backup body. That's the thing. Is like on any film set or movie, you always have a backup body because you can't. It's so expensive if your camera goes down. Even on a digital show, like on a TV show, we always have usually a third body. Sometimes it's like dedicated to Steady or dedicated to a Ronin, but there's a third body and only 2 cameras work all the time, right? So if there's a problem with one, you can just swap it out and keep going. Because you're like, I don't know, it's $5,000 a minute sometimes, like on those days, big days, so you can't really waste time.
That is so crazy.
I guess, Vanessa, do you want to, we kind of got a little bit of your middle. You want to start from the beginning and tell us how you kind of got started with everything? And
all right. Well, should I start with school?
Sure. Yeah.
I was a bio-French major in USF in San Francisco.
Okay.
Hated biology. It was like my whole family is like, they're all doctors, and I was the weird one and realized that I was like super depressed and did not want to finish. And I was like, I think I was writing my best friend's senior thesis, like screenplay, because he was going to Santa Clara University, and I think it like that's when it sort of hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm writing someone else's homework, and I'm like super passionate about their homework. And I was so obsessed with like all of Linklater's work at the time, like anything that like he would recommend, I would watch, and I was almost like psychically communicating in that way, where we'd be like, oh, he put this, I forgot, it was some like car movie, and I was like, of course Rick wrote about this movie, like I'm watching it now and I love it. Or like a really random French movie like La Maman La Putain, like he loved. And there was so many like films like that where I was like, okay, maybe I should like look up where Detour Films is. And I did, and I called them, and they were like, nobody ever calls us. Like, how do you get this number? And I didn't even want to, I think I like looked it up through the Criterion, like, not Criterion, IMDb Pro or something like that. Like I had like, their number was there. So I found out about their internship and then planned to switch my major. I just finished with a French degree. I was like, I'm not going to pursue medicine whatsoever, like sorry family. And I wrote them a letter, and then once I graduated I got a call back from them, and they wanted to interview me for like an internship in Texas, which was funny because I never thought I would be in Texas. So I was like, okay, well, everything fits in my car, because I was living in a closet, like underneath the stairs, kind of like Harry Potter. It was so expensive to live in San Francisco that I told my roommates at the time, like, guys, like I have to live in the closet. Like, I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. So I was living in the closet for a while, and then, but everything fit in my car. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm moving to Texas. And I had like maybe 3 months before like the internship kind of would start. So I was like, maybe I'll just live in LA for a little bit before that. So I moved to LA for a while. I was like living on my friends' couches, did all sorts of weird odd jobs because I like wanted to buy a DSLR like Canon Mark II. So I'm not sure if you guys remember TaskRabbit. But I did TaskRabbit, and I would just like look at the list of things like every day. Like someone would be like, you know, like pass flyers for Twitter, like $70. Be like, cool, easy. And another one would be like, take care of my infant child. And I was like, I've never done this before, but we're gonna try doing it.
Oh no!
No, I only had 2 weeks.
I want a hard pass on that one.
I only had 2 weeks, so like every single job was like the most ridiculous thing. Like one day they'd be like looking for somebody to like work at a baker's shop and like help us baking. I'm like, that was the hardest one actually, because they could tell right away. I was like, yeah, no experience there. But it was so fun, and I would just like kind of, and finally I like, you know, got my money to get my Canon. So I was like in LA having like the weirdest time, and then finally they're like, oh yeah, we want to interview you, like come to Texas. So I was like, okay, bye LA. Was there for 3 months. That was crazy. And then drove here, and then moved to Texas, got the interview, or landed the interview, like started the internship. Very rough 2-3 years of like PAing and doing the internship. Also directing music videos right from the beginning because of that camera that I got. Like immediately when I left my keys at this guy's house. I forgot what happened, but he had this weird name, like Cosmo or something like that, and he like wanted to plant an agave plant. So I said, yeah, sure, it sounds great. And I left my key at his house, and then went straight to work and realized I had to meet him back at this place, but I didn't want to go to his house. So I was like, how about we meet at this bar? And I met like all of these people that worked in music that I really liked. And then that's when the music video started happening. So it was like the fastest introduction to Austin in a way, because it all happened so quickly. And then with Linklater's first, like, I think he was he was starting this movie that was like a sequel to Dazed and Confused at the time. So my assignment was to find and help like with extras, so take pictures of every single person in town that kind of looked like they could fall into that movie.
Fit the vibe.
And I had no, like, I didn't care who, I wasn't like afraid to ask anybody. So like I would ask like, you know, people that I thought were perfect for the film, and some of them were like musicians that I now like am friends and work with, but back in the day wasn't like, I just like would show up to someone and be like, can I take a picture? I think you'd be great for this film. And then I think that because I was asking everybody in town, I would just force myself to go out and like meet all these different people. I think that helped in a way, like establish like, or like learn who was who in the community really quickly. And then, yeah, so that was like 2014. So flash forward to now. Well, yeah, I'm skipping like a whole entire chapter, but like, I don't know. I just like, I started doing like a lot of music videos for all of Austin's local bands, to the point where.
Do you enjoy doing music videos? It's
That's a little complicated question. I love them. I'm a masochist, though. I mean, they're very hard to do, and sometimes at this point now, like music videos are like definitely my passion. But, and I love making them. But there's like I have to like draw the line now with how many I make, because they can really like take so much out of me in a way, and
it can suck up so much time too.
They take
it's
all
just like
your time.
It's so much time.
So much time. You're not, the industry itself is what I love making music videos. I don't like the industry of making music videos, if that's easier to answer. Like I love making music videos.
Just like
it's just not a sustainable like
for sure
place, you know. So like that was one thing, is that like I was like killing myself to make so many music videos like a year, and at some point I was like, okay, well, like it's so natural to me. I'm like kind of like a surreal storyteller, but at the same time, you know, like how to tell a story in 3 minutes, that's the same thing as kind of a commercial in a way. Like I remember people would be like, oh, she's such a great music video director, and I hated hearing that, because I was like, well, I'm a director. I wouldn't just say like a music video director. Like it was hard, really hard to break in to. It took me, you know, I was 24 when I first moved to Austin, and I think it took me 10 years almost, or like maybe like 9 years, to finally be seen as a director who could take on a commercial.
Yeah.
So then my commercial work started like maybe 3 years ago, which was really cool. I actually owe that to my great friend Hannah Barnell, because she was the one that was like, she finally broke through too. I mean, it takes a lot for women to break into a commercial world, especially in Texas. But she got a commercial, and she was getting a lot of commercials, and she's like, you know what? I feel like this one's not really me. Like, you should do this one. And I was like traveling in Europe, so broke at the time, and like thinking like, how many music videos could I make just to get a plane ticket home for like Spanish bands, because like maybe I'll do that. And then I was like, fuck, that's not even possible. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I had a lot of complications that happened in Europe, and I was realizing very quickly that I was gonna be so broke. And then finally, Hannah offers me this commercial. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get it. Like, I have to prove so much, blah blah blah. But no, the company was like, actually, we'll fly you out back home if you can do this. Like, you know, it was for Willie Nelson's like Lucktober festival, so it was like a music related commercial too.
Awesome.
So I was like,
that's a good like cross blend.
Yes, it was the perfect. But it was also hard. Like the budget was like only $60K. And we had like over like 100 people on a call sheet of just like cast members and everything. Wow. So I was like, oh, low budget music video, $60K is like $600,000 to me. Like, you know, like. And
then you see it start to go away, like, oh, this guy's taking this. And
well,
this,
it was actually, I think we stretched it out to be like pretty good for what we had. We had nothing, but I think that also the community of Austin is so supportive, I think. So that is the best part of everything. Like, people are there to help no matter what, and it's amazing. So that was like kind of the very first one that helped me get like more commercial stuff. And then certain cinematographers out of Philly would see like music. I made this music video for the Black Angels, and he really loved it, and he reached out to me. He was like, I really want to work with you. and then set me up with this amazing company in Philadelphia that like I love working with. They're called All Ages Productions, and they're like, yeah, we started making commercials this year. Now I think that like it's kind of been snowballing in a way where now I'm finally doing commercials.
That's awesome.
It sustains the art in a way. So I think people don't understand how important commercials are to music videos, because I have never really walked away with any money off of a music video. I used to be a production designer just so I could pay my own bills, because that was the only way to like survive in a way. So
have you found a passion for the commercial world, or is it more of like a necessity to fulfill, you know, your artistic lust, I guess, over other music videos and stuff?
I wouldn't say I'm where I'm at with commercials yet. Like I feel like it's so hard to prove to people that you can do anything in a commercial. Like you almost have to like shoot the commercial in a different way to show them, hey, look, you want this commercial? Look, I've shot it already, but in a different way, and now I can do yours. So like that's the hard part with commercial work, because I like my dream is to do like really cool, like almost like avant-garde, like crazy commercial. Like I love the company oh my gosh, what are they called? Canada Films. And they're like, every commercial that you see from them like feels like has a heavy production design. It's so surreal, and it keeps you super engaged. And I would love, like, that would be like my ultimate dream, is to be like creating, you know, content that feels like surreal and fun, and almost feels like it's a memorable piece as well as a commercial.
And it's different.
But those are really hard to get into. Like that's like, you know, especially like the roster is like one woman on the roster, I think, and everyone else is a guy. So it's like that will take a long time if I ever wanted to break into that world. And if anything, maybe doing that is like, okay, fine, spec work. Like if I have the money for that one day, like save you know, which hurts to say, like saving 10 grand for a spec commercial, what, you know, or even more than that, that's crazy. So I think at this point, I don't really care. As I love commercials because they pay my bills, they allow me to like, you know, live a sustainable life, and I can create whatever I want and move into like narrative and keep making music videos for bands that I love. But I'm like Robin Hood in that sense, where I'm like, okay, cool, like I'll take half of that money for a music video, or half of that money for a narrative piece instead. Anyway.
Have you done much in the narrative world?
I have like a pet feature that I buried alive.
Cool, that's exciting. No
one will ever know about it.
Until now, the whole world knows now.
Tell us more.
No, it was so silly. It was like I didn't know idea what I was doing, and I was like, I moved to Austin. I was like, I want to create. I'm gonna never stop creating. I'm just gonna create like every day. So I decided to create this feature that. It's sad because it's still sitting in a hard drive. Like there's a version of it out, but it's not really like the real version. I took out so much of it. It's like a stoner comedy about like these kids that they all work at this park, and then the owner of the park dies, and then they like do a bunch of drugs and like lose themselves, and it really like, I mean, yeah, it's like it was almost like an acid comedy versus a stoner comedy, because I remember like reading the screenplay on acid and like trying to fix it on acid. Wow. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say all of these things, so I have no filter, so like you'll always get these kind of stories out of me once.
Well, we're gonna put the link right
here. It's one of those things I'm like, maybe I'll recreate that one day, or like I'll finish it and then I'll pretend I'll put it under someone else's name. I was thinking of putting it under. No, I was gonna my pseudonym, but it's like I have this little boy pseudonym that I love, and I'm like, that was directed by him, and that's not mine. A little Harry Potter boy. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you there on the music industry. I had my first share of music videos in New York, because I started doing photography, but then slowly I started jumping into video, and I did my wedding videos, wedding films, and then jump into music videos, just because it's you can come up with a new concept depending the song and the mood and the vibe and everything, and you can do like a 3-minute short film just based on the song. You know, it's very entertaining. It's kind of, you have that creative freedom to just create. But like you said, it's there's financially not rewarding, much.
Yeah,
You just have fun.
I kind of taught me to not look at music videos as like a monetary gain. Like I was doing it like for like, oh, I love this band and I love what we're doing. Like let's not even think about money as a part of the equation.
Yeah.
Like this is nothing to do with it, and that in a weird way makes it really pure in a way where you're like, I mean, I would love to get. I'm sure. I think about this for other directors and other crew members who devote so much of their time to making like the Weeknd's music video, and they get like, from what I've heard, like I've heard it from like the source of the people that have made it, where they're like, oh yeah, we had like 40K to make that music video, but then you go on YouTube and it's like millions of viewers, and then you're like, wait, who's making money off of this? Like, like the label didn't do anything. The label fronted everybody money and not even enough money, and everyone broke their back just to make that happen. So it's almost like this weird, like I think that labels are making it harder for me to like. It's like almost like I love it so much, but the one person that or the one thing that makes it harder are labels and managers for sure, because they're so detached from the artist.
Yeah.
And sometimes even the artists themselves who like are so entitled in a way, because they're like not aware that like if you're getting a music video, it's a gift. Like everyone's donating so much of their time. Nobody's getting paid the amount of money that they are worth. So there's this like level of gratitude now that like I have to receive, and from the very beginning from an artist. Otherwise, I'm like, red flag, this person's abusive and they're super entitled and they don't deserve what we're giving them.
It's interesting, like a lot of the music videos that I came up working on, they were more commercial-like than they were music videos. Like the stuff that you direct is so different because you have a lot of freedom with the smaller bands, but like I was doing like Justin Bieber music videos, and it's like, okay, it's him performing in an alley, it's him performing on the stage, it's him performing in the whatever, the aisle. And then it's a couple of shots here, a couple of shots here, and like, that's it. Okay, and then next week we go do something else. It's like Chris Brown. It's like, okay, it's him performing over here, him performing over here, him performing over here, and a couple of shots, and like, that's the day. It's so cut and paste, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like easier in a way because you're not really like, but that, in a weird way, like the level of creativity is
it's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I will say there are amazing music videos from artists that like have like Harry Styles, is that his name? Yeah, Harry Styles has a great one. My friend shot that one, and I love. And like Lana Del Rey has really cool ones, and that he shot. Like I have a friend that shoots a lot of like bigger. He did the Meg Stallion one where she's like, where he had to get like strapped to her camera and she's like twerking, and he's literally attached to the twerk. And she's like,
Really?
it's the best video I've ever seen of anyone, just like because the camera and him are like strapped to her butt and she's twerking. Like that.
I want to see the behind the scenes. That'd be
Incredible.
awesome.
I highly recommend just to look at it. I think I think it made him famous, to be honest. His name is Ripley. He's so funny, but yeah, like some of those can be really, really creative. But I think maybe at that point, one, the artist is cool, and two, like there's so much support, and it is like a commercial where it's like, oh yeah, like we want you to do the best you can do. Here's like $200,000 for your music video, which is a reality that does happen. It's mind blowing for me because I'm like, oh wow, we did that all for like $5K. So that's how much like I'm sure Lana Del Rey's like makeup costs for one day.
Yeah, it's probably more.
Yeah, probably more.
It's probably more.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing is it's definitely more.
I know.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Have you guys watched the latest music video from Jungle back in '74? Oh, I recommend it.
What is it called? Jungle?
Jungle, the band, and back in '74.
That's the name of the song?
That's the name of the song.
Cool.
All right,
Check
you guys
it out.
cut that in right now. Take 5 minutes. We're gonna watch it and then we'll come back and dissect.
Yeah, it's one of those videos that you watch it once and you can't stop rewatching it. It's more like a choreography kind of thing, but there's lighting and camera movement involved.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there are those like just such stand out music videos. Now, of course, I'm not going to remember the name. The director, I would have to look it up, but like his music videos are always like so intense and like There's one of like it's like following these kids as they're like running around causing chaos in the city, and then they like beat up the cameraman at the end of it. Yeah, it's like it's so good, like super high like production value, but like very gritty at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
like this cost a lot, or maybe it didn't. It's hard to tell, but like they are very much like their own art pieces, almost apart from the song, but they fit so well. You know,
That's so fun. Yeah, I feel like music videos will always be part of my life. I mean, that's kind of how I started. So I see myself like I'm just limiting myself to. I have to start saying no, even if I like the band at this point, is because of how they require so much time and so much energy.
this was my first music video.
What?
Funeral was that
Was
I
it
shot.
first?
Yeah, I've never shot one before.
But you've been in like you've been worked on so many.
Yeah, I've worked on so many. It's a
But is
focus
your
puller
first
and a
one?
second AC.
Well,
Yeah, this is my first one as a DP.
That doesn't mean that this isn't our last one for sure. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no,
that,
no.
Yeah. this is the first one.
I didn't say that. I didn't imply that either.
Yeah,
It's just my
yeah.
first one.
That's
I've never done one
incredible.
before.
Well, you did a really good job at
Well, thanks.
doing it. I'm so happy. I'm happy that we got to work on this one. This one actually is the reason why I say now I'm like, ooh, okay. Now that they're like, I want to feel this way about a music video every time I make one.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
really-
this is the goal,
I know,
right? Like you want to feel this good about
Yeah.
the thing at the end of the day.
So totally.
Can you talk more about that one? Can we jump into that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's a good transition into the actual piece. So yeah, you want to chat about like kind of the idea and the concept with the actual piece and
how we got to your table, like how the
How did it work? Okay.
Yeah.
So Tele Novella is a band I've been working with I did their first entire album, Marilyn Bell, on Super 8 during the pandemic. And
you shot all the songs.
or not all of the songs. I think I did like 5 or something like
Okay.
that. But
That's still
it's
a lot.
Wow.
We went through like 5 or 6, or like I had so many Super 8 cameras breaking in the middle of this like summers, and I was just like, I hate this, but I love you guys. I hope I get another camera. And at some point, and my best camera was getting fixed, but it was funny because I got my buddy. Like now I have my camera, and I shot their first project for this album. The newest one is called Poet's Tooth. Just came out like a couple days ago, and so what we agreed to, they were like, we only want you to do our music videos from now on. Like our chemistry is really great, and I agree. Like we kind of have this like we figured it all out. We take our time when we need to, and sometimes we have to rush. But even if we're rushing, it's not like the most stressful thing is never the most stressful thing. I think for us, and we get like even like the first video that we did this year, like we took our time in Galveston and like had oysters. Oysters weren't they're not that good in Galveston. Be careful with the oysters in Galveston because you're not gonna get quality oysters. But we still had a good time. That we were like, okay, we have to redo this oyster experience. Let's go to Clark's in Austin and have
Clark's
that.
is
And I was
so
like,
good.
yes, like night and day. But when it comes to oysters. So anyways, yeah. So they sent me their album like way before we were gonna even start creating it. I love when a band will send you music like way ahead of time. Like I hate when you get a song and they're like, hey, so we want a music video, and like you're like, when? They're like, in 3 weeks, and you're like, oh cool, I have like 3 days to come up with an idea and then
put it
all of a sudden
together.
source it, and it's like that time management is never good. So with Telenovela, they like think they benefit the most by sending me something way in advance, even if it's like mixed and it's not mastered yet, because then I get to like really listen and like let those songs sink in, and you just kind of listen to like what they have in mind too. So like all of the songs in the album that we chose, we pretty much chose them together too. Like they'd be like, which ones do you think are the best for the mix, like for the singles, and I would give them my 2 cents. But she, Natalie had at the end of the day, Natalie was like, these are the ones I love, and I'm like, great, those are the ones I love, But,
That's good.
Yeah, which is really cool. And I think around that, like maybe the very beginning of like us coming up with our first music video, I saw this photograph of Joan Crawford and in Johnny Guitar, and I was like, ooh, whoa, wait, hold on, time out. What is this movie? And I do that a lot with like old. I think I derive like all of my inspiration from like old films for the most part. Like I'm constantly trying to dig for like the most rare, weird gem from like Japan or something. And then and for this one I was like, okay, I've never seen this, so I started watching it, loved it, and I thought, oh, Natalie might be the perfect person to play a Joan Crawford. But let's put that in the box. Like maybe we won't. I don't even know if that's in our like trajectory of music videos. You know, we were focusing on the first one, and as we started moving along, that image just never left me. And at some point, she starts deciding, hey, the funeral is the last one. So I was like, okay, well, I've been listening to the funeral. You know, like I'll keep listening to it and see like what comes up. And then I think I had this dream where she was like, Natalie was pointing a gun at me and saying like the beginning of the line, like you can't beat me at my own game. And that was like, okay, that I didn't like immediately. I remember going to like a baseball practice with Natalie, and I was like, Natalie, like this is part of the video, and she loved it. She was like, okay, amazing. I got her approval for that very first seed. And then I started listening to it again, and I was like, okay, well, she has this gun. I don't want her. She's obviously not going to shoot it. I think she's going to like bring it down. And then then after that, I felt, okay, well, there's a train in the lyric, and I think that maybe that tells us that she's going to move towards a train. Maybe she like wants to, like at this point, it's like she's feeling so defeated that she's like ready to put her head on a train and wait for the train to hit her. And then that was where I was at. I was stuck there. And then I thought, I guess because the Johnny Guitar is about a competition between these two women, actually. It's not a love story. It's about a woman who wants to kill Joan Crawford. And she's like starting this whole drama around town, like wanting to kill Joan Crawford. And Joan's like, we might as well be at my funeral, she says. And she says it like 3 times in the film, which I thought was wild too. So I was like, okay, I'm on the right track, you know, like, but it's not about like, I wanted to almost, I thought there was going to be a girl picking her up in the beginning. But the song itself is actually, I don't want to like say things I'm not allowed to say, but the song itself is more of a love song. And I felt like maybe it's not appropriate to have another girl in there. Like maybe it's actually like, you know, Natalie and Jason are partners, and I thought that would probably be like a really beautiful experience to like have Jason just be like the hero in this. Mm-hmm. And also Jason's in the band too, so he needs to be in it. And I was like, he's not gonna just be like playing guitar in the background, you know, like no, he's equally as important. So that I think we knew that she was gonna pick, or I wanted him to pick her up from the train track, and then it was like as she like points the gun kind of like upwards as if like almost at him, but just like kind of bringing up this problem of self-destruction, and he puts it down, and then Laboy came in. So Laboy and I met at the Austin cinematography group, but I was volunteering to lead like a workshop, and I was like in the middle of writing my treatment. It had that whole thing kind of already written out. I knew that there was like a Wes Anderson-y sort of like Black World with but I didn't really know the fact. I feel like you and I wrote more of it together afterwards.
The first thing you showed me was the Joan Crawford photo, and I was like, "Oh, this is sick! I love this." It's like my dad is a Western guy. Like that's the only thing on in the house ever. It's like old West movies. So like I just grew up with that on all the time. So anytime things go towards that, I'm like, cool, I'm into this. And then you had showed me like how the like early treatment, I think, and it had like a couple of the things, and some references, and then you were like, yeah, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, okay, somehow I feel like Stray Vista.
Yes,
I was like,
you brought it up as I was like, it felt like, I'm not sure if you guys have seen The Little Princess. Oh, have you ever seen The Little Princess?
No.
It's like I think it's Cuarón or Inarritu is like one of his first films. But I remember these like 2 little girls are like they're in an orphan and they're talking about all the things that they love. They're like, we would like they're like raspberries and chocolates and bananas, and they're just like saying all these things.
I was like, Stray Vista, Techno Crane. She's like, amazing. Yeah, what is that stuff?
I don't know what those are, but sure, we should totally do that.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, Techno Crane I did know, but I was just like, oh gosh, like a girl could only dream to have this like stuff. Like what, you know, like that's like I don't like asking for help ever, you know. So like for me, it's like really hard to even ask for help. To ask for like incredible like transformer help. I was just like, oh
Transformer.
my God. So I was like, wait, hold on, like, sure, that sounds amazing, but it's probably too good to be true. Like,
well, yeah, and I was like,
know.
well, just like let's just go look.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the stage. We'll go to Stray Vista. We'll meet the guys. You've never been there, but like at the baseline, then you know what the place does and what the tech is, and maybe you'll use it down the line somewhere, and we'll shoot this thing in our backyard or something. You know?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, there were so many funny things. Like, there was a point in time where we had train tracks that we had to fabricate, and I was like posting on Facebook, does anyone know where any abandoned train tracks are, so I could like maybe see? And then someone's like, Vanessa, those are like 500 pounds each. And I was like, well, how do they do it in real movies? And if someone's like, they take crazy machines and bring real train tracks and like lay them out. But that when I found that, I was like, that's a crazy loophole. Then I went two-stepping like that night, and I met this amazing welder. And he was like, oh yeah, I can fabricate like fake ones that are super light. And I was like, that's what we're doing. So
they look so good.
Yeah.
And I was also curious, like
the
transition from, I guess maybe still jumping ahead, but the transition from the tracks into the wall looks amazing. Like,
Thank you.
I don't know. That was like one of my questions. I didn't know how the hell you guys did that. It looked amazing.
That was an illusion.
It's all an illusion. Yeah.
I feel like that's my most self-conscious part, but I love that you love it. So
it was amazing. Yeah.
That was,
so now tell us.
The magic of Stray Vista. I mean, honestly, those guys there are just amazing. And, you know, we took the concept in. We're like, okay, well, it's like in the desert and in the daytime, and then there's these train tracks, and then it's nighttime, and then there's some stuff that happens at night. We weren't even like totally sure yet, and there was like the fire. I think
Barbie fire was a
Barbie
must.
fire. Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Barbie fire was a must. Natalie had requested the Barbie fire because she had just finished Barbie, and she came back to visit or to like see me where I was going over like the initial blocking of like bringing it down, and I was kind of like getting things approved by her. And then she was like, well, we have to have a Barbie fire. And I was like, 100%. But in the beginning, it was too soon.
Yeah, it was earlier in the video originally.
Yeah, it was like
earlier
it was like the third act. And I was like, I don't feel good about this. Like, there's not like and I remember explaining to you, like, here's what the gun represents. And I want her to like go of the gun, or like this gun has to like, it's the funeral is about the funeral for the gun in a way. Like that's where she's letting go of her like destruction or like her darkness. And I think the gun represented that in different ways. And then that's when you were like, oh, what if it's a well? And I was like, mind blown, like, yes, it's a well. Like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. And it's even crazier because Tele Novella has this reoccurring well theme. So it was like super tied in, where I was like, oh, how did you, like, you know that part.
No.
Like, yeah. So then it became the well, and we're like, oh, okay, the well is the perfect transition. And then in the well, there's like a darkness that we can go into for a while before we come out the other side.
And then we put the fire at the end as like the rebirth of everything.
Yeah.
So then we had the concept, we took it to Stray Vista, and we're like, all right, there's this, that, and the other, and they're like, okay, cool, well, we have this like desert scene that's free to use, and you know, you can manipulate anything. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's like you can literally manipulate every single piece, every blade of grass, every stick.
We actually did I don't know if you guys saw it, but we actually did our last episode out there.
Oh yeah.
Chatted with those guys, and it was just like,
so you guys know. For the listeners.
No, I'm just saying. In general, I'm still blown away. Like that was my first time there, and just seeing what Ace, what he can do, and he can. You can every little asset you can move, light anything you want. You can throw up, a 12 by or it's like you can light with it.
So then we were like, hey, what if the moon comes up?
So
right, like that would be cool. And then Ace is like, yeah, we can do that, no problem. It's like
that was so
like
cool.
in 3 seconds, like whoop.
Yeah, we were because we were like, oh, we'll have to hire an animator and like bring in this asset, this other thing. And Ace like, I could just program the moon to rise.
I was so cool because I was struggling with them.
Let's do that.
I was like hoping. I was trying to interview a bunch of my friends and like friends of friends to see if they could do the projections themselves in the beginning. Like I was like, are we gonna do it old school? Like we can get like a projector. And I started kind of like realizing that no matter what, Stray Vista was the best option. Even with like, and had we actually like gone this crazy animator to do that and everything, it probably would have, in the end, been the same amount of like budgeting that we had.
And you actually see what's happening. Like it's not like green screen that the actor has to imagine what's happening in their environment. It's like you actually see on camera what it's happening.
If you're standing in there and the thing spins, it will make you super dizzy. Like it's very disorienting. It's cool that they get to be in the dirt. You know, it looks like night, feels like night in there. It's cool.
Was that your first time shooting out there?
First time shooting there, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Had you shot on LED walls and whatever?
Yeah, I used one in Phoenix. I guess that was end of last year for a car commercial, but it was not as involved. We didn't do tracking. It was just a curved wall, and we put the car in there, and it was cool because you could see out the side windows a little bit.
Gotcha.
So I could do like a super wide shot in the back seat and be able to like see buildings going by, right?
Cool.
Versus
like speed.
Versus like, you know, when we do it on TV shows, usually they'll bring in like 2 panels, and then we have to shoot this direction, and then we have to turn and shoot this direction, right? With the curved wall is cool because you can see a lot more. You can be a lot more wider. So, but yeah, definitely not as complicated as what we did at Stray. It was.
You brought their first techno crane. That was the best part.
That's awesome.
I know. It was like I think it was cool seeing everyone kind of mutually benefit from the whole experience because like we were able to bring things for Stray Vista to learn from. We learned from Stray Vista.
And I think it's a learning experience for whoever is involved even in G&E because there are so many things that you can do to light a specific scene, right? In our department, you know, there's so many things that you have to take care of and bring in front of the volume because it's not only the background that you're going to use, it's like what your actor is going to be interacting with.
Totally, I mean, it does cut the... you know, I was so happy because I was able to bring in a production designer, but being a production designer like myself in the past, like it is actually nicer because you don't have to worry about like so much. You're only focusing on what's tangible, like what people are touching and everything for the most part. But yeah, I mean, we were so meticulous in our process, like having to deliver dirt. That was our first like greens experience. Oh my gosh, like having to find like cheap dirt, especially in the color that we wanted. Was like I was calling like so many general contractors in Lockhart being like, where can I find dirt? What's the cheapest? Who's getting rid of it? And like finally we found somebody on Facebook Market that was getting rid of dirt for like $200.
Wow.
And then we found someone who was gonna pick up the dirt, which is even more of a miracle. I was like, wow, like there's someone who's gonna pick it all up tomorrow, like or tonight, like that's insane. So we were really lucky with that.
Yeah, it was like 6 tons of dirt came in and then left the same day. Like, it was wild.
The most wildest part, the funniest part was like when you and I were talking about it, because you were like, you're only going to need like 2 tons. And I was like, I want to go for 5, like just in case.
I'm sure. I'm like, okay.
Because I wanted extra, like, you know, I think it was important to have like different levels, you know, and not just.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the shot of her feet, like she's. Like foot goes into the dirt is like it looks really good.
It's not just she's walking on, you know, a quarter of an inch of
right. It makes a difference.
It does. So we were like,
you were right.
But everyone was so sweet about it. You know? Like I was shoveling some dirt in and out, and I was like, oh my god, the fact that there's like 10 people here doing the same thing is so amazing.
Oh, I brought a shovel. I was like, I'm getting into this, and then it's like I'm in the way. There's too many people working already. I can't even be a help.
That's how I felt too. I was like, I guess I can focus on blocking. Oh my god!
Oh my god, this is super nice. I can just do my job now.
It was so. I wanted to cry. Every time I saw them, I would just be like, wow, my heart hurts so much. This is so sweet. So I told the mom, like, I will be shoveling whatever you guys want. From now, you have a free pass. So I can come to your house, shovel snow. What if we do get the snow? You know, you need a garden. Like I got you at least one time this year. You know,
that's awesome.
I definitely offered to watch Joe's kids.
Yeah, okay, good.
Our techno crane operator. I was like, if you need a babysitter, I'll come over.
Man, I got you.
I got you.
I'll take care of his kids too. I have a little bit of babysitting experience now.
Oh, I didn't.
So, yeah.
Are you available this weekend?
Oh, no.
Scratch that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, shout out to people at Stray Vista.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
You guys are the
Special
best.
thank you to
Yeah.
all of you guys. Yeah, they saved the day.
Who ended up gaffing that for you?
Scott Creemans
Okay.
came out to gaff,
So
Okay.
cool.
which is like
I
he's
know Gaff.
barely a gaffer. He's like has been transitioning to shooting more, and I mean,
Cool.
but he's like the commercial guy in town. You know, if you're on a fairly sizable commercial, it's probably Scott. It's like Scott or one other guy usually, and he's just so knowledgeable and easy to work with, and him and I have a great relationship, and so it's like, hey, I want to do this thing, and he's like, yeah, we could do it like this or like that, or maybe there's this other way. I'm like, yeah, let's try that. And so like, you know, he's just always down to experiment and try new things, and it's for
Scott was
fun.
super cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
They were all really cool.
yeah, we had a great crew.
Yeah.
Everyone was
You
amazing.
brought in, like, I say it, I kept saying it, but I really mean it. Like, I would say, like, the Avengers or, like, Transformers.
Yeah. They were pros.
The
Ninja
best,
Turtles.
the best of the best.
Yeah,
It was
I just
amazing.
like turned around, and even just like in the morning when I just saw Ace like assessing everything, and I'm like, "You're part of the Avengers too." Like, it was so great. Yeah.
Should we watch it? I can just put it here.
Yeah, I guess we can just play it on screen too.
No, you can't beat me at my own game. Oh, you want it all to stay the same. I love you still. I must get going. It worked until we did some growing. Who can deny the truth? The longest, let's not let it come to that. No, you were not shunted down Slack's lane. Oh, you're not tied up. Here comes the train. The tracks feel safe because you know 'em. You cannot stop the whistle from blowing. And if you stay, it's gonna hurt much worse. You'll still be left behind. All there is left to want from this last kiss. Words couldn't hold even if we spoke. No, you hope some things won't ever die. Oh, you won't put on your suit and tie. It's still a funeral, you know it. You may not cry, you may not show it, but here is poetry, a vein of ore,
I guess I wanted to go through, if it's cool with y'all, a couple frames and just see, like, I guess, obviously his opening shot is, you know, it's killer, and what you were talking about.
Yeah, so this is like the exact like comp to the Joan Crawford shot. Like I took the shot of Joan Crawford, I photoshopped her out of it and replicated the mountains, and that's what we used for the background.
Yeah.
It's like it's the exact shot of the movie.
That's amazing.
Which like
The lighting
whoever
is pretty much the same.
that studio is, please don't sue us. But it's basically a direct homage, you know, as much as it can be.
Yeah, we did. I did go around like all for like 3 days. I was like driving to like Waco to find us a yellow shirt with the because hers is yellow and red.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But then, you know, at some point it was funny because the very beginning now he's like, I don't look good in yellow. I don't want to do yellow. And I was like, okay, well, you know, she is wearing a yellow shirt. And then we ended up finding these shirts, and I really love the like red shine to it.
Yeah.
And the gold one for Jason complements this one so well that I was really happy that there was like something that I ended up being ours versus like direct homage, because in the end I'm like, you know what, part of me always wants to replicate the exact same thing, but that it's not really yours, you're just replicating.
Good,
That's the
Yeah.
shot, so you guys can pull up
Yeah.
and find. But
That's
that's the photograph that started it.
yeah, this was it. She's like, have you ever seen this? I'm like, whoa.
But I'm glad that, you know, in the end I'm like, I'm happy that we didn't go with yellow and red, because it would have been
the red's
almost too on.
No,
This was so good.
It's gorgeous.
I love
Yeah,
just the
too.
color contrast too, but just putting in like the blue sky and the red, and then like, I don't know, like it really makes her pop. I feel like if it was yellow, it would almost like blend in with the mountains.
And you wanted
Yeah.
to go with the harsh light?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I don't like soft light unless it's nighttime. It doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're inside.
That was one of my questions.
You know, like
I like the choice on that, because I think you see that almost too much in commercials where it's like it's so soft,
Big
and
soft
it's so
source,
perfect,
yeah.
and it's like she's out in the desert, and during the day it's like it's not gonna look soft, you know, like obviously you want to make it look, you know, do it well, but which obviously you did, but it's not gonna be like a beautiful soft light.
yeah, there was never
No.
not for 1 second did I ever think I was going to use soft light for the first two scenes.
Yeah, I mean, even just from the reference alone, like the reference alone is like it's really beautiful, hard lighting. That like there was, I think, one of the reasons why I was so mesmerized by the Joan Crawford, like that still, because I was just like, I love the way like the lights like hitting like half of her in a way. Like I love that there's like this like really rich contrast. And like that's why I didn't really care about the colors that we ended up with, because I was like, I want those colors, or these colors end up looking better no matter what. But I'm more focused on the lighting and how that came across, because I wanted it to look like so much like Joan Crawford's Johnny Guitar.
Can you tell us what you had for key light?
I think it was a 600X is what we used. It was either that or the 1200D. Dim down, you know what I mean, but it was direct. There was no diffusion whatsoever. So
Wow,
Okay, cool.
yeah, I think it was the 600 as a matter of fact, because the 1200 was on the other. We like jumped around a lot. Like we had the stuff that was in the wall, and then at Stray Vista they have like a 12-foot extension that comes out from under the ceiling. We shot this on that extension
Gotcha.
because there's no tracking involved. So we were able to light some of the night stuff and then shoot that and then jump over, and then they reset the desert for the next piece with the fire while we're shooting this, and then we came back to, you know what I mean? So we were like leapfrogging.
Yeah, we did it that way so that Art would have time to not only like reset, but because we started with our biggest shot, that was our first shot, we were able to start taking out some of the dirt and putting it back into bags, like little by little, so we could strike the dirt and then get like progressively, so that by the end of it was only like a small chunk of dirt that needed to be wrapped.
That's smart.
We would have been wrapping for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know. So,
Yeah, we had to get out of there on time, which we did. So
in general, the production design was amazing too. I forgot who you said did that.
So Christina
Pop.
Yeah, she
from Lucky Giraffe.
Yeah,
she's amazing.
She's so sweet, and you know, she was kind of was like, you know what, like I'm gonna basically help you with anything, but you're gonna be the production designer. You know, I don't think that she's like stepped up as production designer a lot. Like she's usually working as like a set dresser and everything, and I had faith that she could do it. So I think that part of my like I love making people rise faster, especially like females. So I was like, all right, screw it. You're
Throw
not
them in the fire and
I was like,
figure it out.
I was like, you're not the set dresser. You're the production designer. And then she was like, okay. I was like, no, you are.
She did great.
Yeah,
I mean, she killed it.
so
Yeah,
good.
everything looked amazing.
She did so good.
Yeah, we had her and her team in a project of us at Stray Vista. They built like 3 different sets for us.
Wow.
And we were using the volume as a background through the windows.
Oh,
and
cool.
Stuff like that.
So cool.
It was huge, but yeah, they're amazing.
She's great. Yeah, I love her.
Shout out to Lucky Giraffe.
Yeah, shout out to Lucky Giraffe.
I guess probably maybe not on this, but did you have a fill or anything on this side with
no, I think so.
Like a natural roll.
That's the natural roll off. I have these round LED panels. They're super thin, maybe like an inch thick, but they're round, 28 inch.
Okay.
And there's one of those right next to camera at like 5% for an eye light.
Just a little eye light.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
What camera were you shooting with?
Oh, we shot Red, the V Raptor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but in 4K, and I used a Super 16 zoom from the 70s, an old Zeiss zoom.
What's your go-to camera?
I don't have one.
You didn't have one?
No, I don't have one.
Oh, okay.
I think like every project should dictate
Yeah, of course.
like what you need. It depends on what the project is. Like I've never shot the V Raptor, but I was like, well, I want to use this lens. So how can I use this lens and get the most resolution? And the V Raptor has like a 4K Super 16 mode, which like no other camera on the market has.
Yeah.
So that was the call.
It's crazy because it might be in my like new favorite camera to approach if I don't want to shoot like a 16mm aesthetic.
Yeah, I think it's the one right now because everything else like large format, you can't put a Super 16 lens on it, and like there are no lenses on the market that will go 25 to 250 under 4 pounds. That was the key because at the onset of this video, we're going to put it on the Ronin, so it had to be a smaller. Lightweight package. And then we ended up with the Techno Crane, which is amazing. So it wouldn't have mattered in the end, but we planned it as if it had to be a smaller, smaller footprint.
Yeah.
So that lens, I mean, there's a line of Canon zooms from the 70s, and then there's some Zeiss that are comparable. They're like my favorite.
Cool.
Glass, man. They're so pretty and so unique, and they go from so wide to so tight. They're like dock lenses, you know, but
100%.
they're like unusable because everyone shoots large format. So
Yeah.
Cool. I was
This
just looking
division.
at those. I don't think I've ever.
Yeah, I have an eye in a size zoom 2100 millimeters. It's gorgeous, but it's like 15K.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
nuts.
I mean, you can buy the old Canon zooms for like $7,000. They're so cheap because like they don't fit on anything anymore.
Were you in a Fisher dolly or Dana dolly?
This one's just on sticks and it's a zoom. It's a zoom.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Got it. This is parfocal. Nice. Cool. Gonna show the next.
Sure.
Yeah, this was fun.
And then her walking over. This looks. I mean,
That looks so real.
It's where the wall really excels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this was my real world shot. It looks so good.
Wow.
So yeah, like how? I mean, is that just some grass that you tucked over there, or like yeah? How,
So all of
break
this
down there.
this all is real, obviously. So we brought in we went to my friend's cidery, and we just clipped a bunch of stuff from his backyard. So like all the rocks are his, and like like all the
Gosh,
little
all this
things.
stuff.
But it was almost like going there for the day before or like pre-light day, looking at the wall, figuring out, okay, like we should get more of these. We should bring in more of like even just like little small what do you call those, like just like tiny
Sticks
little sticks,
Yeah.
but not just
Grass
sticks, like
and-
like a specific type of grass though, because it was like, okay, we could find all these things in our backyard. The hardest one, when you only see it in the very beginning of the shot, was prickly pear. I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, because you had to take down a prickly pear and then put it back in.
Oh.
And I didn't really think. I mean, I had we all had the right amount of gloves, but even just like like it goes, it'll go through the glove anytime, very quickly. So I felt so bad, and we only ended up using a few of them because we were like, that was so hard to just take that it makes no sense to put them back or put them in. Like I don't want like a PA to stab have a prickly pear go through their hand or anything. But it was that, and then just aging the train tracks, getting the wood.
Yeah, all that looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
And then light-wise, was that an overhead or was that?
There's two. There's a 600 and a 300 left of frame. One's on a menace arm, kind of pointed down to mimic the angle of the sunlight. And then there's another one kind of to fill in. You can see it at the shot of the feet. It just fills in the rest of the background to match the sun essentially.
Cool.
And then I'm pretty sure we used that round panel again for an eye light.
Okay.
And I think that was it.
And that was still just bulb, no diffusion. That was just
no diffusion.
Damn. Okay.
Well, actually, there might be an opal on the light that hits her face, but just because she has that shadow coming off her shoulder,
this,
that's cutting her, and I didn't want that. It was really sharp. Yeah, so I think we used the lightest thing we had was an opal.
Cool.
Just to take the absolute harshness off of it.
Yeah, that looks great. The tracks my favorite. It looks so good. It's amazing.
They also it's obviously you don't hear it in the video, but I loved every time she put the gun on, it's clang, and it's huge clanging sound. Right?
Yeah, when we were doing rehearsals off the track, it was funny just because we were having to figure out the movement outside of the track and everything, and just that when she was putting it down, it comes in on lane. I think it hits lane and then goes ding right after it. And I thought it was so funny. I was okay, here we go. My mental note is I'm going to hear that little thing. Each time you hit it, so I know you're hitting it on time. Nice.
Yeah, and then again, zoom, which it's actually zooming. So, yeah, I was super happy with the wall here. Ace nailed it, and it's put the train tracks in, and then you just can the tracks on the wall and line them up totally perfectly. And
yeah, this one would have been possible with anything else but the wall. We're talking about it so much because people are why didn't you just shoot this outside? It's how it wouldn't have matched.
We would have had to go to real train tracks. And that's the only other way you could do a shot like this because you're never going to have
real train tracks. It would have been such a
it would have been on the east side of Austin where those tracks are all blown out. It's not going to look the same. Never.
Yeah, very different feel over there.
And then this shot, this was cool. I mean, this was the one that really the wall. It's oh yeah, well if we have the wall, we can do it like this,
Yeah.
And
versus the animation situation that wasn't ever gonna, I think, come out.
Yeah.
We tried. I had a friend design one, but I think that when I saw that Ace could do, it was Ace kind of saw us struggling, and we were talking about all the animations that we were gonna use, and then he looked at us and was guys, I can generate this so much better.
4 minutes.
Yeah, he's I just do it here.
Watch this, and we were just
oh yeah, let's just do that.
Never mind. Pivoting. I felt so bad for my friend who worked so hard on, creating something like this, but it was just, night and day. Yeah, night and day. For real. Unintended.
And then this shot we used when the sun's up. There's an orbiter hitting them direct. And then
that is so crazy.
The orbiter has a sensor on top of it that it's an ambient light sensor. So it'll match ambient light. It'll match the light's color to the ambient light, whatever it is. So if you're shooting outside and the sun is going down, you don't have to tweak, constantly dial it in. It just changes with the environment. So the way we did this was we had the plate. This is actually a plate instead of using the frustrum on the wall. We had the plate, and then the orbiter's over here. The screen's black, and we had a second plate timed the same because we couldn't get the light where we needed to and have it still observe the ambience. But what's awesome about Stray Vista is like, okay, well, just give me another plate on the wall that's shining on the orbiter, telling it what light, so as the sun goes down it's matching that color. Wow. And then a sky panel bounce comes up for the moonlight.
Gosh, that's so cool. I definitely didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the things like Scott brought to the table. I was like, hey, I want to do it. I think we can like do it in the Aperture app. He's like, like the orbiter has this like thing.
That's cool.
But I've never tested it. I don't know if it's fast or not. I'm like, well, let's
it
do it. Let's try it.
See
Like,
if it
sounds awesome.
Do you know if we tested it on the pre-light day?
Sure didn't.
Oh, I was like, I wonder if we did,
nope.
but we didn't. Yeah.
No. No, we did
I
not.
remember, I kind of think I caught the tail end of that conversation. I think he was telling you, but I don't remember if that was the day.
He told me like we talked about it on the phone like a couple days beforehand, and he was like, well, we'll see if we could do it. We'll get it. If not, we'll just do it with the Aperture app, like the way that I thought we were going to do it, right? You could just tell it to go from this value to this value in a certain time, simple. And he's like, well, but if the thing does it, then it'll match perfect.
Yeah.
So that's what we went for, and it did.
Jeez.
Wow.
I was definitely curious about this moon transition. How y'all, I guess, like in.
So that's a VFX situation.
So that's the real wall there
Yeah.
And then
until there.
it goes, loses them, and then this is.
Now we're in the,
now
I
we're
think
in
it's
the
actually right there. Like I think.
But yeah, there's two transitions, right? It transitions. So when you focus on the wall, you see the pixels, right? So there's at a certain point you can't film the wall anymore. So it transitions to a VFX plate of what we shot on the wall.
Two little plates that he put.
I did a rough cut like the next morning because I was like so
So
excited.
happy because I was so tired that like when I got it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best. I have like this to look at, and I'm like, but I'm gonna go through all of it anyways and do my own. And then when I was looking at all of the like our takes, they were the exact same takes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, perfect. So I just sent him our, like a list of like, here are the takes. It's like super easy to edit because there are only 6 shots to put in.
Yeah.
And then he did it like very quickly. He had it done. He was doing his own too. Like we were all editing almost all at the same time.
I mean, mine was more out of like, oh, did that transition work?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, like just check this to make
Just
sure
double check, make
before
sure
this thing comes out next week.
Yeah, I have that anxiety too every time.
Yeah.
Like, and actually to even like be way more or to share more secrets, I was editing as we were moving.
Oh yeah.
So like
Really?
every time we would have a shot, I would record it on the screen.
Should record the playback and
then put it onto the track, and then I would know exactly like where to begin the song in that one moment. And I've done that with like a fair share of music videos because there are so many times where like you're like, I'm planning this one shot, it only works for the specific timing, and I need to know if it works. Like if not, then we don't have the shot. We have to redo it, and it's going to slow us down. So you might as well just get that shot, put it in your computer, and see if it's like perfectly in time for everything. And
Interesting.
we did that for each one here.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like we planned 6 shots and that's it. There's no backup plan for this video. So like if one of these things didn't work or like it didn't, we just did it until we got it,
I remember when you told me, you're like a couple of days before, you're like, what if we also just get her singing like on the side? And I was like,
being a chicken.
And I was like,
Just getting
we're not
coverage,
gonna do that, though. Yeah, I'm like, we're not though. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes.
Okay,
cool.
I just have to offer it because like it's that's the parachute. And if you don't want to do it, then let's not do it.
And I think that's a very like I appreciated that as well because
I
was
mean,
like, well, it could be, but where and how would that? Why would it would just I think to me it would have showed that we didn't get away with what we wanted if we had shown her like randomly singing in the daylight somewhere or something. But because everything was like that was the point, is that everything kind of had to be sewn together.
Right. Yeah. It's meticulous for sure.
Yeah.
And like this shot that's up next was the first shot we did in the morning because it's the most complicated. It was the longest across the wall and the techno crane and there's a tilt and a zoom and she's moving. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There's so much. It was actually, I think it's to this day, I think out of all of them in a way though, this one is my favorite because
I love this one.
Because of how complicated it was. I
screenplay.
Sure.
The more complicated, the better for me. So I kind of, this is like the stuff that I want to keep doing.
Yeah,
It's like
go back to the head of it.
that part. Yeah.
So it comes out of the moon. So the techno crane's pulling back. I'm zooming out. The operator's got to blind find her. Matt McCloskey did a great job. You know, and then we land. And the arm is swinging. I'm still zooming. Then I start zooming back in, or I think the arm starts pushing in, and then at a certain point, it's like arm and zoom and tilt, to all go down into the well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so everything's got to sync up. It's a lot. That's a lot of things going on.
It's cool though. I mean, like that's where I was like, oh wow, this is incredible. Like I'm so lucky to have like all these people, because it was like 3 different brains all doing
no, it's like
working together.
There's a focus puller, an operator. There's 2 guys running the techno. I'm on the Zoom.
There's so many guys. There's like 5 of you guys to really talk to, but just to get that movement like to really nail,
so perfectly.
It's like the well and everything. I thought it was so cool to be like, okay, we all have to be in sync.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have to like.
I mean, this is.
It's a tricky shot.
That's not an easy move,
No, it was fun. It was really fun.
It's such a fun one.
I mean, that's the stuff that I live for. It's like, okay, how complicated can we possibly make it? Oh, at one point there was fog. I'm like, it wasn't working. I'm like, get rid of the fog.
Yeah, we didn't need the fog. It's okay.
It was cool. It was a lot.
Yeah, I think that I actually am happy that we didn't go with the fog.
Me too.
Because I think it would have been.
It shows off the desert more, and
I think the desert. It was like with all of that work to make the desert look so good, and the fog would have covered it up. So it was almost like there were certain like things that came. I think. Where that like, or like almost like a certain sort of force that was like, nope, we're not gonna work with this. Like you're gonna do this instead.
It worked out better that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Can I ask for this prop? Is this
the well?
The
The well. What it made? How was it made?
Did you make it?
Yeah, it was handmade.
Wow.
It was a garbage can.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, garbage can with I forgot what it's called.
Spray foam.
Spray foam, but there's another word.
Insulating foam, like foam in a can.
Insulating foam, and then there was also an adhesive layer, I think, too. But then after that, painted with I think 1 or 2 different types of spray paint, but there was a textured one that kind of created the stone for you. And then we added moss on the sides to make it look like it was kind of older.
Nice.
Spooky well.
Again, it's just.
I may.
It's amazing.
Reach out to you later, because I have my team downstairs for creating 2 big rocks for a shoot that we have next week at Stray Vista.
Oh yeah, they were doing it the same way we did this, and I drove past them. Yeah, they were using the foam. I was like, oh, they're making rocks.
That's
a good sign. Hit up Christina, because she's the one that made it. Christina made that all by herself.
Nice. Yeah. I reached out to her earlier this week, but we needed it right away, because we have the shoot next week on the 18th, and they're kind of busy. Oh. They're busy people.
Yeah.
But that's what we're trying to recreate right now.
Wow, how cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Thank you.
It looks so real.
So I was nervous about it. We had so many different options for this well.
Yeah.
I was about to buy an Amazon well. There's just so many things, and then finally we were like, okay, we're gonna make it ourselves.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Cool.
And then lighting wise, do you remember what you had?
Yeah, this is all soft moonlight bounce, so S60 with a chimera on the left side. I mean, I had the light across the whole thing. S60 on the left side.
That's a whole space to. Well, I guess you were.
Yeah, I mean, she walks almost the whole 40-foot width of the volume, right? So there's an S60 on the left side, and then on the right, it's a 12 by with the 1200D, I think, into it. And then I used a platinum gel for the moonlight color. Okay. But then also the wall has an edge light. I did an edge light on the wall. I can send you guys a BTS photo of what that looks like, so you can put it. But it's
I love it.
A white card.
Ace is very helpful on that end whenever you need a bounce. Yes, the Genie screams, we need a bounce board or something like that. Ace put a white board on the
it's awesome.
on the wall.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like, it is so convenient, but it's also like, it's tricky, right? You have to really work. Like, we did it. I'm like, okay, I need like a rim bounce there. And he like put it up, but then it like lit the ground in the wall. And I was like, okay, but it can be there, but it can't light the like desert. You know what I mean? And so then he has to like change the parameters.
Flag it off or something? Or
No. He has to. It's all in the computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's cool, but like, oh my gosh, it's complicated.
It's crazy all the stuff that he can do in that little software there.
Yeah.
Super little software. And so, was this was a Technocrane move too? I guess.
Yeah, this was a techno, full extension. Drop down, pull back, push back in. Yeah, it's cool. I love this shot too.
So nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, we were originally going to do it on like a straight arm jib with track, and it would have been fine, but it would have been fairly more complicated than what the techno allows for.
I love the marks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are on purpose. We were like, you know what? Let's
Yeah, it's like vaudeville. That was the inspiration for that. It's like, you know, they get hooked out and like the whole thing. So
we thought the marks were
yeah, no, it's great.
appropriate.
And was that just a wipe transition thing there? Is that okay? Opening that up and then you're fire.
How much of VFX is in the video? Like a 30%?
Not much. Not even.
just that one,
It's
just that one shot.
Moon,
And then coming down the well, I guess, right?
the well, kind of, because you're having to make it smaller.
And
then,
work down, and then we'll
No,
bring
no,
it up, right?
Just making this, extending this a little bit. So like this, the fact that it's so small, you know,
Yeah.
obviously like that was a small, like we just
Yeah,
made
and
it
then
smaller, and then we, by the time over here, or sorry, by
It's
the
a
time
yeah,
that
it's a
we're, like,
digital zoom. It's not.
digital zoom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we probably started the shot like I think around
Somewhere
here or something
around
like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the other one was the wipe
The-
right there, the
Oh, yeah.
curtains. Yeah, so it wasn't like too
Really
many.
just 3 more or less?
I would say like 2.5.
Yeah. I mean, like that well, that was the one that I was like, oh, okay, let me see how this works. And like the
Yeah.
next morning, I like did it in like 3 minutes. I was like, oh, this works
Oh, cool,
amazing.
very
Like,
good.
I was
this
so
is
happy
great.
though that like we let it, like there's something like a sixth sense. It was like, let this play out for a really long time so that you have that room to make it smaller in post. Otherwise, you know, you're
Yeah, it would have been like the movement wouldn't have worked. Yeah, so we ended up timing it perfectly.
yeah,
I think.
we got away with
Nice.
a lot.
Yeah, and
I
then
love that
this
it's-
transition is
It's gray, right? It's black and white, and then transitions to the.
Did you have any additional firelight there?
There's some MCs in the fire.
Yeah.
I figure.
And
That's
that
pretty
was-
much it for the firelight, and then we use those disc LEDs off to the side for his edge there. Yeah, for that edge.
Wow,
That's super cool.
very inspiring.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Very inspiring work.
Great work, y'all.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's so good. Yeah, I guess we always wrap up with, I guess, a nomination. If you guys have anyone else that you want to come on, or a recommendation, or a project that you saw that you thought was great, and a recommendation to have them on the podcast.
Yeah, it can be director, producer, photographer. You know.
I should have Peter Simonite on. He's got 2 movies coming out that are like doing the festival circuit right now. He's a local cinematographer.
Cool.
One's all black and white. It's called like Day of the Fight.
Okay.
Looks amazing. I haven't seen it yet.
Cool.
And then the other one it's called like Firebread Face and Me. And I think that was several people from Austin went to New Mexico to do the feature.
Cool.
So I'm sure he'd be interested in chatting about it.
Nice.
Nice. I would nominate Ivy Chu. It's DP and director. They just finished directing their first music video, which I was really stoked about, but also have like worked on a ton of cool features as a DP and commercials. They're like one of the only female like cinematographers in Austin that I actually kind of know of
Wow.
for the most part. I'm trying to think of a few.
Bex and
There's
her.
Bex. Yeah, sorry. There's
That's-
Bex.
Yeah.
And then Bex is great too. Actually, I would nominate Bex too.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
there's
Bex shot that video, right? So
Bex shot the
bring-
video
you
for
could-
them.
you
So
could-
actually, you should do one with
two birds,
Bex
one stone
and
there.
Ivy.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be great.
Hannah Varnell also.
That's who introduced us. You know
who
that, right?
introduced us.
Yeah.
I know, and I was gonna say that was my second nomination. She's a great director and went from DPing to directing.
Wow.
So yeah, those three I would definitely bring
Mm-hmm.
up.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank
Check
you.
those guys out. Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it. And
Thanks,
for
guys.
Powering
Thanks for
through
your
all the
time.
things. Yeah, thank
It
you
was
guys.
fun.
It's been awesome.
Super
Thank you
fun.
guys.
Yeah, thank you.